What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we are going to address some of the new issues that are surrounding Social Security. We're also going to talk about the potential of a $1,400 stimulus check to Social Security recipients. Going to talk about what the Senior Citizens League is pushing and what you should expect in the near future. So if you have any questions regarding Social Security and any changes that may be coming, well, now is the time to watch this entire video because I will explain exactly what is going on. So let's get right down to it. So one of the biggest pieces of news that has come out over the past 24 hours is that now Republicans have pretty much withdrawn their representative Jim Jordan for becoming the next Speaker of the House. The reason for that is because he has gone through 3 different votes and he's failed each and every time. Now, why is this important? This is important because one of the things that Congress is fighting over right now is the federal budget for fiscal year 2024. This is where we are potentially going to see some increases or some cuts to different programs. One of those may be the Social Security Administration. This does not mean that the Social Security Trust Fund is going to receive a cut. This doesn't mean your benefits will be reduced. What this means is the money going to the Social Security Administration, for people to answer your phone calls, answer your questions, get back to you with your claims. Well, they might be limited with funding. But the big news that came out after this is something right here, and I want to show you this. This is from Reuters. It says the U.S. budget gap soars to $1.7 trillion, which is the largest outside of the COVID era. What does this mean? Well, let's dive into this article as well because this is extremely important, especially since this has to do with Social Security, has to do with Medicare, has to do with other programs as well, like SNAP benefits. Look at this. And this is from today. It says, the U.S. government on Friday posted a $1.695 trillion budget deficit in fiscal year 2023. This is a 23% jump from the prior year as revenues fell and outlays for Social Security and Medicare and record high interest costs on the federal debt rose. Again, it's a 23% jump. That is massive. Okay, that's a massive jump, especially when we are currently fighting over the fiscal year funding for 2024, where there was already an agreement that Democrats and Republicans were going to agree to about $1.59 trillion in spending. But then Republicans came out and said, no, 1.59 was too much. They were going to go with $1.47 trillion, which means there have been about a $120 billion cut. Well, guess what? This news, okay, that the U.S. government, our deficit grew by $1.695 trillion. Well, this is going to cause a lot of problems, especially when it comes to passing the next government funding bill, which has to be done in less than 1 month. On November 17th, that is when the U.S. government would run out of money. Again, that's a problem. And it's a problem because people want answers. Many people want answers. Here's an article from the Senior Citizens League, and it says that 80% of retirees want better inflation protection. Now, this is mainly due to increases because of Medicare, but this is a problem because right now, as we see inflation, yes, inflation goes up, the cost of living adjustment goes up, and everybody's excited. Wait, that's not what happens. Inflation goes up, the cost of living adjustment kind of follows, but as inflation continues to go, the cost of living adjustment is still lacking. For example, inflation right now is 3.7%. The cost of living adjustment for 2024 is going to be 3.2%. We're already 0.5% off, and the year has not even changed. Again, that's a problem. Now, what does this mean? Well, I can go over everything that the Senior Citizens League is saying. I can tell you what they're hoping for, and some of it's good, but Let me show you instead. Here's one right here. It's a petition to Congress to provide a $1,400 stimulus check to Social Security recipients. Now, I want to be very clear on this. This is not a brand new petition. It's been out for a little while. It says the Senior Citizens League will collect both online and print petitions and bring a collective voice to members of Congress, urging them to issue a $1,400 stimulus check to Social Security recipients. I want to be very clear on something. This is actually something that we saw about 2 years ago as well, that many people were pushing for a $1,400 stimulus check to all Social Security recipients because they were the ones that were falling behind. Well, let's continue to read this and I will explain what's going on now. It says, I and or my spouse want Social Security recipients to receive a $1,400 emergency stimulus check to cope during the unprecedented inflationary year. Social Security benefits are one of the few types of income in retirement adjusted for inflation. But soaring inflation has taken a toll on households' finances of retired and disabled Social Security recipients. In 2021, Social Security benefits increased by just 1.3%, raising the average benefit by only $20 a month. But about 86% of Social Security recipients surveyed say their expenses increased by much more than that amount. Now, obviously, that's a petition. You can go on and sign it, put your name, your information, all that stuff. But here's the thing. In here, it says right here, okay, but about 86% of Social Security recipients surveyed say that their expenses increased by much more than that amount. In this past year, actually over the past about 6 to 8 months, what we have heard by a new survey is that people on Social Security have actually experienced increases in expenses by up over 10%. Okay, 10%. Now, here's where there are now discussions of a potentially $1,400 to $1,700 stimulus check, because the average Social Security benefit is about $1,756. Anyway, that is the average amount. Here's the thing that's interesting. 10% of that would be about $175. So you think about it, right now we're spending a decent amount of money for, things like the war with Ukraine, with Israel. But I want to pull up something else because President Biden is asking for even more money. He's not done. Okay, I want to show you this article. This actually came out today as well because now we know the figures. Biden seeks $105 billion for Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and border security. Why is this important? Well, one of the biggest factors that comes with border security is we're letting thousands upon thousands of illegal immigrants come into the United States, and they are taking benefits for those that are paying into the systems. So getting benefits for, food, they're getting housing, they're getting some health care, right? These are things that are coming out of our pockets, our budget. Now, if we didn't let so many people into the United States and we allowed more people to come in, but come in through the process, make the process simpler. So now these people pay into the system, they pay the fees, they pay the fines, whatever they need to pay, and they are now paying into Social Security, paying into Medicare, and paying into the system. Well, then we would increase our revenue. And something like this wouldn't be such a big deal, because we wouldn't see our budget gap soar by $1.65 trillion or $695 trillion simply because now we got more money coming back in through taxes. I want to show you something else. Look at this. Social Security or the Senior Citizens League also has another petition where it's to increase the income threshold tax increase the income threshold limits on which Social Security benefits are taxed. Currently, if you're an individual, it's $25,000. They want to raise this because of inflation, which again, these limits, $25,000 for an individual, it's $32,000 for a couple. They want to raise that to $72,000 for an individual and $93,000 for a couple. The reason why they want to do that is because people that are just making $25,000, and again, you're making $25,000 on Social Security, chances are you're living in poverty. Yeah. The majority of people that collect Social Security benefits are getting below poverty level checks. This is why some are saying that we have to do more. We have to provide additional benefits to the American people. Well, guess what? Just to give you an idea, if we were to do what the Senior Citizens League is asking, provide every single senior or Social Security recipient with a $1,400 stimulus check, well, it actually wouldn't cost that much money. Now you're probably thinking, well, how much is that much money? Because $1 billion is a lot of money. I'd take $1 billion. Well, right now, we are about to send $105 billion to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Now, how does this really break down? Well, here's what we know right now. Okay? Right now, there's a lot of money that's going to these different countries, different people, right? So, right here it says, President Biden is calling for an additional $14.3 billion to Israel, another $2 billion for Taiwan, okay, $9 billion for humanitarian assistance, $42 billion in security assistance. What is that? Oh no. President Biden's biggest request of the package is more than $61 billion for Ukraine. That's right. The majority is going to Ukraine, not to Israel, not to Taiwan, not to border security. This is why this is a huge, huge problem. You look at this, $61 billion to Ukraine. Then you factor in $14 billion to Israel. That puts us at $75 billion. $2 billion for Taiwan. That puts us at $77 billion. $9 billion for humanitarian efforts. That puts us at $86 billion, which means there's $14 billion going to border security. Again, it's interesting. But you know how much money it would take to give about 66 million people on Social Security an additional $1,400 stimulus check? It would take about $90 to $92 billion. It would be less than what we are currently discussing for additional funding for Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, border security, and for natural disasters here in the United States. So that is where we're at. There's a lot of discussions regarding Social Security right now. House subcommittee just did a hearing 2 days ago. I addressed that earlier this morning, played you a little bit of a clip of it. It's about a 7.5 hour long video, but the first 5 hours are pretty much just a black screen. So if you want to go and watch that, it is on YouTube. You can go and see it. It is somewhat boring, but it is very informational. So that is what we know at this time. As always, as I get more information, I promise I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think is going to happen for Social Security, especially that we don't have a Speaker of the House? Our deficit is continuing to soar, and there are still millions of people pushing for additional stimulus checks for Social Security recipients and to ensure that their money is safe. They're not being taxed and it's not going back to the Social Security Administration because of simple overpayments. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Consider subscribing, and I will see you guys on the next one.